Yesterday, on the election desk over at Fox News, Charles Payne from Fox Business had enough of all this caterwauling about Trump criticizing Nikki Haley's dress and being, engaging in the ad hominem in the direction of Nikki Haley after he vanquished her in New Hampshire and effectively ended the primary campaign, whether she wants to admit it or not.
He went on quite a rant.
Well, here's what Charles Payne said about that after being put having that question put to him by Bear.
And he talks about how Democrats demean MAGA voters. He talked about it with me today, saying that, it's just strange that they're talking about a group of voters like that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's narcissism. I think if you've lived in New York long enough, it's maybe a New York thing. Someone punches you, you punch him back harder. That's the way I grew up in Harlem.
Not if the country's at stake, right?
He won. He became president of the United States with that same personality. I don't think that, listen, I think it's worse with Biden calling MAGA. Biden's anger and vitriol and hatred for MAGA is far more worse than President Trump's individual battles with someone who crosses him. That is something that is really detrimental to this country, that the President of the United States despises half of the United States. President Biden, I said earlier today, about a week ago, I had a segment coming up, so I Googled Biden hates MAGA. Nothing but articles after articles after articles. He has expressed hatred for half of the country.
Who's writing those articles?
It doesn't matter. Look
and it's
at
not.
him. Because the bottom line is he says it. He has vitriol for them. And so does MSNBC, and so does CNN, and so does the New York Times. They have vitriol for half of the nation. They don't look at them like fellow Americans, and it's unfortunate. They try to paint them as racist. All the things that they do to their fellow Americans who simply want a safe home, a safe community, for their children to have prosperity. They want the same thing, but they demean them all the time. That's why I think Phillips was so intriguing, because he went to a rally to find out for himself. And guess what? Golly, these are some pretty cool people. They're just like us.
Exactly what.
Yeah, here's what Dean Phillips found.
You guys, I went to a Donald Trump rally a couple nights ago. Never been to one. I had an event across the street. I saw the line of people waiting in the cold for hours. And I thought, what the heck? I'm going to be a leader who actually invites people, doesn't condemn them. Met probably 50 Trump people waiting in line. Every single one of them, thoughtful, hospitable, friendly. All of them so frustrated that they feel nobody's listening to them but Donald Trump. A diverse crowd, people who had never been to a Trump event before. My party is completely delusional right now.
And 1 in 5 Democrats voted for him last night in New Hampshire. He did far better than the polls were predicting for him.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, GovZilla author. Steve, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. Good night for Trump. No question about it. It looks like we're bring on the rematch. It looks like, although I still am wondering whether Joe Biden will be the nominee. Incidentally, I was watching Charles Payne last night on Fox when he, really attacked the Biden rhetoric. And on balance, I think he's right. There is a real contempt that the left has for kind of ordinary blue-collar Americans who love the country, want the border secure, want better jobs, want to make sure that, we're putting the country first. And I know a lot of people don't always agree with what Donald Trump has to say, but his message of, making America, what's wrong with making America great again? MAGA, oh my God, they're horrible people. We did this survey that came out just a few days ago. You guys may have seen about what we called Us versus Them, where we actually, did a compare and contrast between the kind of cultural elite of America, 80% of whom support Biden, versus just the average ordinary American who answers polls. And the difference, it's almost like they live in two different countries. We asked the question, do you think there's too much freedom or too much government control in America? Now, 80% of Americans say, there's too much government control, not too much freedom. Half of these, Biden elite say, oh, no, there's too much freedom in America. They think that the problem in America is there's too much freedom.
Well, the biggest, to your point on that survey that we discussed, the biggest discrepancy the cultural elite, 80% are doing better, and they have positive things to say about the direction of the country economically. 20% of everybody else.
Right.
I mean, that's the most telling of all.
Yeah, it is. And what it's telling you is, look, actually Biden's policies have worked really well for the people in the very, very top tier of income. The stock market's been doing really well this year. They haven't been really affected. If you're a millionaire or billionaire, inflation doesn't really affect you at all. It's people who do live, paycheck to paycheck, who have to go to the grocery store every week and pump up their gas, and they see gas is 35% more expensive than when Trump was in office. They see grocery prices up 25%, and the inflation rate has come down, but we're still stuck with these higher prices that have caused real hardship. I mean, let me just mention one other one that really sticks out to me. We asked, do you think that we should ban discretionary air travel in the country? So in other words, should we ban a family, in Chicago that wants to get on an American flight and fly to Orlando so they could take their kids to Disney World? 65% of these elites, by the way, these are mostly people who graduated from Ivy League schools. 65% of them say yes, we should ban discretionary air travel. Now, maybe that's because they have their own private jets and they don't have to fly on commercial flights. But these people are crazy. They're completely out of touch with America and the kind of trials and tribulations that, ordinary blue collar, the kind of people listening to this show or driving to work are feeling every day.
Well, it's a lot of ordinary white collar too.
White collar too.
If you have the wrong if you have the wrong attitude and the wrong mindset, the wrong philosophy. One of the things that you recently wrote about in your Unleash Prosperity newsletter was new banking regulations, and in responses the bank failures from a year ago, and how that will impact, as if interest rates aren't already, the small business owner entrepreneur.
So it is actually kind of a case study in how when the government reacts to a crisis, they almost always do the wrong thing. And of course, the most famous example of that was the government reaction to COVID, where almost everything governments did, from the city of Chicago to the state of Illinois to the federal government, was absolutely the wrong thing to do with COVID. But this is do you guys remember what was it last? I think it was last spring when Silicon Valley Bank failed. Remember that? And oh my God, all the banks are going to fail. And I think there were a couple of others that failed, in part because of the interest rate changes that really affected their books. But so what did the federal government do? Oh my God, banks are failing. So they said we have to require these banks to have more reserves, more capital reserves, so they can withstand, a financial situation. Except the problem was that Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic and the ones that failed were not undercapitalized. That wasn't their problem. They had other problems. They made a lot of bad loans and a lot of bad financial decisions. And so now they want to greatly expand how much money that a bank holds in reserve. Now, for people who are not too familiar with the banking system, what that means is if you have to hold more money in reserve, that means there's less money you can lend out, right? And bank lending is oxygen for the American economy. It's how small businesses get loans. It's how, people get loans for their mortgages and things like that. And so what we found was this would completely shrink the amount of loans that are available, which would mean higher interest rates, which would have a very negative effect on the economy. And so they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't really exist, and they're going to make the situation in the economy much worse. That's brilliant people in Washington.
What is President Biden doing? I mean, we're $35 trillion in debt, and he's out there saying that he cut the deficit. Is anybody even in his own party buying that?
Yeah, he's the most fiscally responsible president we've ever had, even though the debt's gone up $6 trillion in his 3 years in office. And can I just say one other thing about that? I just get so infuriated by this. So did you guys catch this? How we got any attention that he put out a press release on Friday of last week saying that he is going to forgive another $5 billion of student loan debt.
Right.
Now, I don't care how people feel. I mean, I think that's crazy, but some people may support it. In fact, there was a poll in New Hampshire of Democratic voters. 80% of Democratic voters support that policy of shaking down the taxpayers to pay for other people's student loans. But whether you support the policy or not, Dan, the Supreme Court has ruled on this, right? And the
Right.
United States Supreme Court said, you do not have the unilateral authority, Joe Biden, to forgive people's debt. The Congress has also rejected this, so he's just going out and doing it.
Well,
And
he's
just
trying to
saying,
buy
okay,
votes.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Can you imagine if Donald Trump did this, just completely thwarted and ignored the Supreme Court and started passing out money to people? They say he's a dictator. He's a tyrant. But I don't hear the press saying that about Joe Biden.
Well, it's funny how precedents work. We've talked about this quite a bit. The left should be a little bit more careful about the precedents they set for lawlessness, and ends justify the mean.
Exactly.
President Biden wants to ignore the Supreme Court opinion on student loan forgiveness, and Governor Abbott is down in Texas right now, ignoring for now the Supreme Court lifting the injunction to allow Border Patrol to take down the razor wire that he's erected. His guys are still putting together more razor wire to erect. So, this is what happens when you have the ends justify the means philosophy, and a lot on the left, as per usual, a la with border security, generally speaking, just to use one example, don't have any appreciation for that. It's whatever, by any means necessary for what I want in the moment, with no consideration as to what that unleashes.
So this is, let me just talk for a minute about the issue, that Supreme Court decision on the border. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but it is pretty clear from the Constitution that the federal government has the authority over the border and immigration policy. Now, we may disagree with that, but that basically is what the Constitution says. Now, what that means, because look, I think everybody's angry about what's going on. I think I mentioned last week on your show, I have a couple of liberal siblings who I love who live in the Chicago area, and they were infuriated that the Texas governor is sending the illegal immigrants to the Chicagoland area. And I said, well, you guys have been in favor of the sanctuary city, policy. So what are you complaining about? But my point is, if you want the border to be secure, immigrants coming in every night, then there's only one solution. You have to get rid of Joe Biden, because this crisis will continue to persist. He's been in office for 3 years now, and not only is he not trying to control illegal immigration, he's literally taking they're chopping up the fences so that they can come in. I mean, it's craziness at the border. But you got to get rid of Biden if you want to solve that problem, and that's what the court basically said.
Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal, used to be a Wall Street Journal columnist, still a op-ed writer and economist and author of Govzilla. Steve, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Take care.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Oh, we're going to have a string of rainy days here, and there's a lot of snow that's melting. How's your basement doing? How's your crawl space? If you have any water issues at all, now is the time to call Permaseal. They've been around for 45 years. And did you know that Roy Spencer still works for the company, obviously, but he started it out of his apartment and his F-150 pickup truck, America. So Permaseal wants to thank you for your trust and for and wants you to know that they use their own professional employees that respect you in your home. So this January, Permaseal is celebrating this anniversary where you can save 10% off all services or up to 24-month interest-free financing. They do waterproofing, they do crawl space encapsulation, structural repairs, and their new attic insulation service. So call them before January 1st to save 10%. Call now, 800-421-7325. That's 800-421-SEAL, or visit permaseal.net. It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. Thanks again for your generosity.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Be sure to schedule your health assessment with my friends at Low T Center. They offer the convenience of physician-monitored, self-inject, at-home testosterone treatments with an average payment of $150 a month cash pay, including labs and medication. If you don't live near a Low T Center or just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. That's Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
It's awesome stuff. I just love the product. I am so glad I seen the commercial, went for it, and ordered me some. And then my husband said, "Have you seen that commercial of Balance of Nature?" And I looked at him and I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I think we ought to try it." And I says, "I am." And so I says, "I'll order you some." He loves it. I love it. We won't be without it.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a